What are your thoughts on Jalen Milroe? Because I've heard people that are there. I've heard y'all shows. I've heard different people that are down in Mobile, and a lot of the analysts are saying he really rolled the dice because of the inconsistencies coming to Mobile to showcase his skills. What do you read into that, and where do you think ultimately he plays in the NFL, and how good can this guy be?
He's such an interesting case study, guys. I've done several of his games. I'm a fan. I've said with him multiple times. I think he's a really good young man. He's got a good head on his shoulders. The inconsistency with the throwing is real. It shows up on the film. I think it's shown up there in Mobile. My apologies. I don't know. He's such a dynamic runner. And I thought Charles Davis hit on the head this morning when he's talking about him. Like, you almost need to have him in a game setting to know what he can really do and the stress he can put on a defense, because that is real. I think he's one of the most dynamic players in this draft with the ball in his hands. He might be top 3. And that's a very real part of the quarterback position in the National Football League now. There was a time where that didn't translate. Well, it translates now. How many people are really going to lean into that throughout their offense? That remains to be seen. You still have to be able to win with some consistency, throwing the football and from the pocket. And he's got a really good touch on his deep ball. It's the intermediate throws. It's kind of that same thing that was said when he was at Bama, and you guys saw this year, and you've seen it in practice. And the other thing that I didn't realize, and I'm not real big on like hand size, but it is interesting that not a single starting quarterback in the NFL has a sub 9-inch hand, and he led the SEC in lost fumbles last year. So you just wonder, do people start to really dive into that? Here's the thing you have to remember about the NFL and the draft process. They're looking for reasons not to draft you, right? Not reasons to draft you. Like you have to go out of your way to prove to them to a certain degree why you should be drafted or drafted a certain level. If there is question marks, they're going to dive into that and they're going to dissect it with a fine-tooth comb. So he's going to play quarterback in the NFL. I don't to me, it's not like, is he a quarterback or not? The real question is, how high is somebody willing to take him, given the clear upside, but also the clear downside? And then how much is a team willing to go all in? Because you kind of want to build an offense around him. And so is it a team that's already got a starting quarterback similar to his skill set? Or is somebody going to take him, and then once he proves maybe he's worthy of being a starter, do you completely build that offense around him? I'll be intrigued with Tommy Reese at Cleveland, honestly. And not in the first round, but I think they have second pick in the second round, second pick in the third round. And I would imagine most people are going to have Jalen somewhere in the second to probably early third round. That would be just my assumption. Now, he's probably going to go to Indy, and if he runs, he's going to run a 4.4. And that could easily change the math. But I wonder with a guy like Tommy Reese, who the latter half of the 2023 season, man, they had a lot of success together. He leaned into that and led him to obviously an SEC championship and a couple of plays away from a national championship game. So I think he's a tough guy to really know how many teams are going to be interested in where he's going to go, but he's going to play quarterback. How high will he get drafted? I would think you have to start that conversation in the second round. I think there's too many questions for me that he'd be coming off the board in round number 1.